Have you ever wondered what it would be like to go into space or even travel to another planet? Well, that actually may happen very shortly. So recently, as technology has been improving, we have been able to expand our horizons and do different things in space. One of those things, just recently we landed a rover on Mars to continue the exploration of Mars. This rover is tracking seismic activity, and it's going to do that over the next 2 to 3 years and relay all this information back, because if we want to travel to the next planet, we want to see if there is any seismic activity. We don't want to land there or in a spot that there is, land on such things like a fault or anything. So with that, we have several things that we want to be aware of, and these assurances prior to us actually going and landing there. Things like safety, testing and effectiveness, fuels and resupply, deep space exploration beyond the red planet, and then actually landing and sustaining on the red planet. So the relevance to this, like I said, this Mars rover has landed there and is now sending information back to us. And this was just last week NASA landed that rover. So, and like I said, the technology is developing currently as we speak, not only through NASA, but through private companies as well, like SpaceX and Boeing. They have really been pressing the envelope to explore further into space and planetary exploration. But the safety of it, obviously, going to another planet, there's variables that are unseen, and just going into space is very dangerous in itself, and then traveling, the journey to the planet beyond just the moon, and it takes about 9 months to get there. So, and in that 9 months, there's things that can happen. Not only the physical safety, but the mental safety. They want to make sure that the people that are actually traveling there, their health and their mental safety, because you're on a ship for 9 months at a time, and they want to make sure that the mental capacity is there, and then also what it would take to do that, and understanding the threats that could happen up there. But beyond that, testing of the rockets and ensuring that they are inherently safe before ever sending people in these rockets to another planet. So, and that's done through just repetitiveness and launching, and then recently SpaceX has been in the news because they have successfully launched and landed a rocket, and they're able to do that multiple times, reusing the same rocket, landing it back on space or on Earth, essentially resupplying, refueling, and then sending it back into orbit. And this is a great advancement, because now they can send that rocket out, and this goes into our next topic, is the resupply, fuels and resupply. So essentially, one of the main things is how are they gonna, the 9-month journey, are they gonna have enough fuel? Are they gonna have enough supplies? Well, the idea is to send them up and orbit the moon prior to sending them off. So the initial launch will go into space, it will orbit the moon, and then from there they will dock with the space station, land there. Then the resupply will happen from a rocket back down on space, or back on Earth, and then sent back into space. So basically, they just want to ensure that there's enough fuel to get there, and then also, obviously, for the return trip. So they want to make sure there's nourishment on board for everyone involved for the duration of the flight, there and back, as well as anything that could happen, different variables are once they get there. And then, the resupply in orbit is the tricky thing, and SpaceX has done well to show that it can be done, landing a rocket safely after it's been in orbit. So the tricky part is the landing after it comes back, and that's been shown to have been effective. But then beyond that is the deep space exploration, which is currently, there's satellites that are orbiting. Just last year, the Cassini spaceship was orbiting Saturn. So it was a 20-year probe that sent back data and statistical analysis of the atmosphere, and what the activity was like, what the atmosphere, the rings were made up, the composition of the rings. And then of last year in July of 2017, the spacecraft actually descended into the atmosphere, and essentially we lost contact, but it was able to send back vital information and provide data that we hadn't had before, you know, and pictures and just detailed vital statistics that can help us further into the future. But then going forward onto Mars, NASA has been granted a sum of money to get us there by 2033, and that's going to happen in a set of phases, 5 phases. And the first phase is getting up into space orbit, getting us out there. The last phase, the 5th phase, will happen early 2030s, and that'll be getting us into Mars's orbit before actually landing on the plane or landing on the planet. They want to do this successfully there and back, you know, with people prior to landing. They want to make sure that we can get there safely, sustain in orbit, and then return prior to adding the additional complications of actually landing on the planet, which is exciting, you know. And in the coming years, as the phases continue, I'm sure there'll be upgrades to technology improvements that can be made, and then the satellites and the Mars rover that is there now will give us vital information to help us continue the exploration and do that safely. So in conclusion, the tangible reality for many is that it is going to happen, and it's just a matter of when. SpaceX said 2024 they can have people there, and as I said before, NASA is 2033 is when they project to have people there. But those assurances are safety, the testing and effectiveness of the rockets, the fuels and the resupply, the deep space exploration beyond just the planet of Mars to see what kind of variables are out there other than the ones that are on the planet, and then actually getting humans on the planet, landing them safely, and really understanding how Mars works, the atmosphere, and then the variables of getting people there safely and establishing them on the planet. Okay, thanks for listening.